Sony Portugal was kind enough to provide us with a review copy for Bound, a third-person platformer by Santa Monica and Plastic Studios, exclusive for PS4. The game should be out on August 16th for $20, and this is the Magical Noob review. Bound feels less like a platformer and more like another one of those artistic games, you know, like Journey or Abzu that we played earlier this month. That's not to say there isn't platforming, there certainly is a lot of it, but these environments scream too much at you to think this is just another platformer. In fact, when it comes to the platforming gameplay, the game isn't that amazing. The jumps don't feel that tight, the camera gets in the way, it's hard to get a depth perception. You've got a couple of wall jumping sections that didn't feel great, and whenever you die you quickly respawn right where you left off. So it's a platformer where platforming isn't great, but it's actually okay in this game, as the platforming doesn't seem to be the focus. The focus is on the art, the platforming is just something that keeps you engaged, gives you something to do other than just walking and looking at how pretty everything is, which is still in the game. There's just this light layer of platforming that I definitely appreciated. Besides the walking and the platforming, gameplay-wise, you have a lot of things your character is afraid of, and she's able to conquer her fears through dancing. You might have noticed by now that all your movements look like ballet, and it's not just because it's pretty, it's deeply connected to the story, which we'll talk about in a minute. By dancing you'll be able to repel these hazards, and after completing each level, you'll conquer one of those fears permanently, meaning you won't have to worry about it in future levels. This is important because the order of the levels is actually randomized, so you might have a different experience from someone else who plays this game. Let's say you beat the level where you conquer the paper plane sphere first. Paper planes will never bother you for the rest of the game. So yeah, that's the gist of it. It's an artsy game with linear levels that feels very satisfying to explore. Sometimes you'll see multiple paths that lead the same way, so you've got some amount of choice despite the game's linearity. There are some secrets for you to find in these levels which rewards exploration, and although the platforming isn't that good, since there is no real punishment for failing, it ends up being a nice extra activity in a game like this. As we would expect from this genre, the game is fairly short. I clocked it at about 2 hours, but it does offer some replay value, not only because of the fact that the levels are randomized and the whole deal with conquering fears in a different order might offer a different experience, but you also unlock a fairly complete speedrun mode after you beat the game. This game didn't feel like a speedrun type of game to me, but I'm happy that that's an option. The story was one of my favorite aspects of this game. I was not expecting it to be so grounded on reality, but all you see in this fantasy world is nothing but a metaphor for this little girl's real life and the story of what happened to her family. It's an emotional tale told from a unique point of view. It's not too vague, but there is still some space for interpretation. That's how metaphors work, right? This whole real life side of the plot gives the fantasy side of things a lot of weight. When the mother says that there's a monster destroying the kingdom, you don't think of this as just another fantasy adventure game where you have to save the world. You think that the kingdom is a metaphor for a real thing in real life, and that the monster can represent a person or a situation. So you look at it from a different point of view, you start paying closer attention to what it says and what it does. Even the hazards that you have to fight in each level have a reason for existing. This character's not afraid of paper planes just by chance, there's a good reason for that. It was quite a ride, it was executed perfectly. It reminded me that I'm still human and I can still feel things. I mean, what can I say about the presentation that you guys haven't seen yet? This world is gorgeous, this character's movements are beautiful, everything is a joy to play in. The animation work in this game is phenomenal, not just in the character's dances, but with every little thing she does. The environment too is incredibly animated. The sea of cubes waving up and down, the walls shaping in and out of context when the character was about to vanish from sight. And of course, we've also got a killer soundtrack, a nice piano, good chilled out beats, the occasional distortion when things are looking a bit grim. Silky smooth 60 FPS, however, the resolution isn't 1080p, not even upscaled. There's this weird letterboxing throughout the entire game that I don't know if it's there to make the game run as smooth as this, or if it's something the devs thought would look good from an artistic point of view. But if that's the case, it doesn't look good at all in my opinion. But yeah, great looking game. Bound is a relatively short art game, like you've probably experienced before. Journey or Abzu are a good frame of reference if you're looking to know whether or not you'll enjoy this game. But it comes with the twist of it also being a 3D platformer, which gives you something else to do besides walking and looking at the environment, which was a welcome addition. It's a good one of those games, and granted, we've seen not everyone is into this genre, but for those who are, this is a must play. That's our review for Bound. If you're looking for some more gameplay, check the link in the description for our walkthrough. If you've got any questions or thoughts of your own regarding Bound, leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to join the conversation. Click the like button if you found the review useful and subscribe for more gaming goodness. I've been Globku. Thank you for watching. Bye.